So let's get a true picture and a clearer understanding of the situation in this country. It is dire. Many on the brink of hunger. How many? Well, let's take a look at those figures. It is actually 1 million people on the brink of hunger. And this is according to a report that was done by a government agency itself. It's called the Short Range Assessment Report, and it was overseen by the National Drought Management Authority together with WFP, talking about these 1 million people in 23 arid and semi-arid counties. So all of those are the ones who are facing hunger, and it's not just them. An additional 541,000 children are said to need treatment from acute malnutrition. But just in case you're thinking, well, this is something that is happening just at this point, we'll get to the numbers and food security in a moment. But just how much money is needed? 7.3 billion shillings is needed for food assessment, or rather for food assistance over the next 6 months until August, when there will be the next harvest. Remember, even as you've seen Cabinet Secretary Wamal was saying, that the short rains in October were poor, and therefore the yield was less than 50%. Here we are now. The short rains, the long rains have delayed. We don't know what the situation will be. So this assistance is up until the month of August, when those harvests are expected. But like I said, the issue of food security in this country is dire. According to a report that was done last year, 17 million Kenyans routinely go to bed hungry. How did we get to this point in time? We'll talk about the Galana promise for just a moment, but this is what the situation looks like. We import 75% of the wheat we use. We have a rice deficit of 75%. Sugar as well. We're only producing about 50% of the sugar that we need in the country. It gets more difficult for those 17 million, including the 1 million who are facing starvation. Because in this country, the poor spend 70% of their income on food. That means they are pushed to the brink when food prices go up. So there's been the abrupt withdrawal of fertilizer, as you know, and even when it was being subsidized by the government, it was of low quality. So now DAP is going for about 5,000 shillings when it was about 4,000 shillings before. Kenya is a net importer of food. Take a look at the price of eggs. A tray is about 150 now to 200. It was about 270 to 300. Why? Because we're importing eggs from countries like Uganda. So let me talk about this promise that might have alleviated the situation we find ourselves in today. Ironically, 1 million acres was to be put under irrigation. I say ironic because 1 million acres that would have sorted out the 1 million people who are now facing hunger. This project was supposed to cost 7.2 billion, and we're now spending 7 billion again for food assistance. Remember, we're also going to be spending 7 billion shillings for water. This project was supposed to have been completed last year, around mid last year, June, July. The project has stalled, as you've seen the reports in the papers, all the back and forth between Arava Company and the National Irrigation Board. So I know you're wondering, how do we get ourselves out of this? Well, perhaps we could sort out the issue of Galana. But here's another thing. Those dams that we're talking about that are riddled with scandal would also have helped us depend less on rain-fed agriculture. We need to move to large-scale farming. And that is why the Galana is so important if it can actually be completed in time. The idea is to make sure that large-scale farming, which is more profitable, is left to projects like Galana, and small-scale farmers can do the high-value goods or foods like tomatoes and avocado. Also, we urgently need in this country a fertilizer program hand in hand with extension services to help farmers to do this. And finally, what food experts are telling me tonight, an agriculture and transformation strategy is urgently needed. This is a dire situation at a time when food security is one of the president's pillars of the Big Four agenda. Those are some of the solutions we can look at tonight.